Hello there, science class. This is our science lesson for the week on birds. We spent the first 7 weeks studying um, vertebrates, invertebrates, and then the first group of animals in the vertebrates, we studied mammals. Now we're going to move on to another group of animals that are not mammals. They are vertebrates, but they're not mammals. They are birds, okay? So we are going to begin our lesson on page 32 of our science book, The World of Animals. Excuse me, you should be open to that page and ready to read with me. I want you to read with me and leave your finger there when I pause to explain something or to answer one of our questions. You have a handout that looks like this, chapter 8 on birds, that we're going to be um, completing as we read along in our lesson. Okay, chapter 8, birds. Birds are some of the most interesting and easy to watch animals in God's creation. These warm-blooded feathered vertebrates can be found in every region of the world. There are approximately 9,000 different species of birds, but far fewer created kinds of birds. Birds lay eggs and breathe with lungs. Now, so they are vertebrates. Mammals are vertebrates, but mammals is one group of vertebrates. Now we're talking about another group of vertebrates that are birds. They are warm-blooded, just like the mammals. They lay eggs, which mammals do not, with the exception of maybe two mammals. And they breathe with their lungs, just like the mammals. So they must have other characteristics that are not like the mammals. Most birds are excellent flyers, although some birds do not fly. God designed birds' bodies to be efficient flying machines. Birds have strong yet lightweight bones. Many bones have hollow spaces to make them lighter. Birds also have rigid or stiff backbones that support the strong muscles to move their wings. Okay, so let's go to our page over here and answer the first question, which says, how are birds different from mammals? Well, we know they're the same as mammals in that they are warm-blooded and that they breathe and they have lungs. But how are they different from mammals? Let's go back. Birds lay eggs and breathe with lungs. Mammals breathe with lungs, and birds do too, but mammals do not lay eggs. And also, mammals have fur and hair, and birds have feathers. Okay, so you're going to write, let me put this up. Birds have feathers and wings. They lay eggs and usually fly. I say usually because there are a few exceptions that, that they don't fly. Okay? If you need more time, go ahead and pause your video. Okay, question number 2 says, how are birds the same as mammals? We talked about that in the first paragraph. They have some things that are the same as mammals. Let's go back and read. Birds are some of the most interesting and easy to watch animals in God's creation. These warm-blooded feathered vertebrates can be found in every region of the blood. Now, mammals are not feathered, but they are warm-blooded. That's one way, that's one thing that we can write down for question number 2. How are birds the same as mammals? First of all, they're warm-blooded. There are approximately 9,000 different species of birds. Birds lay eggs, mammals don't, with the exception of a few. And they breathe with lungs. Mammals breathe with lungs. So question number 2, you're going to write, they are warm-blooded and breathe with lungs. Now notice in your book where it says warm-blooded, there's a dash between the warm and the blooded. You're going to put the dash there. I happen to separate my words. There is no space between warm and blood, only there's a dash. I had to put it over here because I ran out of space, but you're going to put them together with a dash in the middle and turn it into a word, okay? Birds are warm-blooded and they breathe with lungs like mammals do, okay? Question number 3. How many different kinds of species of birds are there? How many different kinds of birds are there? We read that also in the first paragraph. Did you catch that? It's a really large number. 9,000. 9,000. That's how many different kinds of birds there are all over the world. Okay, so I'm not going to write 9,000 for you. You can figure that one out. Number 4. How is it helpful to study and identify one bird from another? Now, it's easier to study birds, animals too, but it's easier to study birds when you put them into groups of their characteristics, of how they live, how they act, how they eat, different characteristics. So for example, all the birds that have webbed feet and live mostly on water are going to be put into one group. Birds that eat mostly meat are going to be another group. So it's easier to study them when you put them in group. Let's read the second paragraph. Right underneath the picture of your eagle, it says, with 9,000 different species of birds, it is helpful to group the birds by some common characteristics. Birds are often grouped as, well, we'll stop right there. So number 4, we group them together by what? Things that they have in common, things that are the same in that group. Okay, so to answer question number 4, how is it helpful to identify one bird from another? We group them by common characteristics. So number 3, you're going to answer. We put them into groups. Group them by common characteristics. Characteristics are things about the animal that is the same as, not the same, but qualities that you see in an animal, or how they live, or where they live. Things that are common between two different animals. Okay? Go ahead and write that for number 3. Okay, we have a change of scenery, don't we? I stepped away from the board. You want to know why I stepped away from the board? Excuse me, we're not going to use a board. At least I'm not going to use a board. And you're going to answer these questions on your own. So pay close attention, okay? The last one, number 5. Now, one thing that I like to do, and not everyone likes to do this, I love to take care of my books, and I love my books, and I keep almost all of my books. And I like to take notes inside my books, or I underline something that I really like, that I want to maybe go back and find it quicker next time. So if you're okay, and your mom and dad are okay with you writing in your book, but one thing that I do, I didn't bring a pencil with me, is if I circle something in my book, or I do it very, very lightly. I don't bear down hard. That way, if I change my mind and I want to erase it, you will never tell. You can never tell that I wrote in my book. So if you choose to, do it very lightly. Also, I gave you all some little small Post-its. You can use those right now. As you find an answer, you can underline it with a little Post-it, so you can come back and fill out your paperwork. So if you already guessed by now that the rest of this, you're going to fill it out on your own. I'm going to read the rest of the chapter with you, and I will help you with where it says, well, let me read number 5. We will be looking at 6 of these groups, okay? 6 groups of birds. Can you name them and give an example for each one? So where it says A, B, C, D, E, F, that's where you're going to put the name of the 6 groups that we're going to talk about right now. And then where it has a letter I, underneath the A, you're going to write an example of one kind, B, another kind, C, give an example of another kind, and so on. All right? So let's keep reading. We're going to finish reading where underneath the eagle, with 9 different species of birds, it is helpful to group the birds by common characteristics. Birds are often grouped as, okay, so here's the 6 different kinds of birds that we're going to look at. There's, remember, 9,000. We're only looking at 6 different kinds. There are perching birds. That's your answer for A. That's what I would underline so you can come back and fill your paper in later. There are birds of prey. There's number B. Water birds, number C. Game birds, D. Tropical birds, E. And flightless birds is F. The shape of the feet and beaks of these different groups reflect the different ecosystems or environments in which they live. Ecosystems are different type of environments out in the open. For example, we have places where it's very tropical, the jungle. We have places like the desert, that's another ecosystem. We have places where it's like tundra, like in Alaska, way up north, where there is no vegetation, there's no trees, there's no grass. That would be like a tundra out there. The only bird that I know that lives out there is the penguin. Okay, so we have different ecosystems, and birds have beaks and feet according to which environment they live in. Okay, about 60% of all the birds are perching birds. So more than half of all the birds are perching. Perching birds are like, you see, you have a picture below the eagle. They're little birds that you usually see them flying from tree to tree, and they sit on the branches or even on the wires, on the electrical wires. Songbirds, such as the thrush, the robin, the bluebird, and the sparrow, are just a few of the many perching birds. So there's a few examples for perching birds that you're gonna pick an example and fill it in. Only a few perching birds, such as the hummingbird and the woodpecker, do not have songs. Perching birds have feet with 3 toes facing forward and 1 toe facing backward for grasping branches. Many have triangular-shaped pointed beaks for eating seeds and insects. Some of these birds, such as hummingbirds, have long, narrow beaks for sucking the nectar from the flowers. The nectar would be the sap, okay? The next paragraph on the top of page 33, across from where the picture of the eagle is. Birds of prey, that's our second group, are eagles, hawks, falcons, owls. Catch small animals such as rodents. Rodents would be like mice, rats, small rabbits, small animals that, squirrels that run around the ground. They have very sharp eyesight as well as hooked beaks and sharp talons. Talons are claw-like feet that allow them to catch and kill their prey. Many birds of prey, particularly owls, also have very keen hearing that allows them to pinpoint prey in the dark. Next paragraph, we're going to talk about another group of birds. The water birds, such as ducks, swans, geese, are especially designed for life on and near the water. They have rounded beaks for catching fish and other food in the water, and they have webbed feet for swimming. They also secrete oil that keeps their feathers water resistant. So they actually, even though they're in the water, their bodies don't get wet. Okay. Next paragraph, we're going to talk about game birds. Game birds are birds that are often hunted for meat. They have very strong flight muscles, making them difficult to catch, but good to eat once they are caught. These include wild turkey, quail, and pheasant. Although ducks and geese are considered water birds, they are game birds as well. The next group of birds are the tropical birds, which include parrots, parakeets, and toucans. These birds live in the tropical rainforests. Most are very brightly colored and have large hooked beaks. They have similar feet to perching birds since they spend most of their time in trees. Okay, let's turn to page 34. And finally, a few birds are flightless. That's our sixth group of birds that we're going to look at. These birds have wings but are not able to fly. Flightless birds include ostriches, emus, and penguins. Okay, emu just looks almost exactly like an ostrich, except it's a dark brown color and it's a little bit smaller than an ostrich. These birds are designed for their lifestyle, being able to run or swim very swiftly. Okay. I believe that is all. On page 35, there's some reading there that describes the difference between birds and reptiles if you want to read that. That's just extra for you to read. Okay, and I do want you to have all of this filled out, all right? And I didn't write on the board because I know that you guys are able to do that. These are example of some of the beaks, and remember there's 9,000 different kinds of birds. So that's just an example. There's one webbed one here. There's perching bird feet, and there's one for, it looks like, with talons. All right, so those are just some of the examples of some of the birds. And that's our lesson on birds for this week. I'll see you guys next week when we talk about, we're going to talk about flight, how birds fly. All right, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.